Hello everyone, and welcome back to the fourth episode to Midland and OpenTTD. I think it's been over 6 months since my last episode, and that's just been for a huge variety of reasons. I won't go into it, but I'm going to definitely be trying my hardest to get back into the swing of things, and also that means this episode's going to be quite low quality because of it. Before I continue, this is the Guilford Junction Railway, an extension of the London South Western, and it's the Staley Portsmouth Direct Line. Anyway, this episode's probably going to be, well, I don't know what it's going to be, I don't know what happened, if it was during the recording or the processing, but it's quite jumpy, and it's just terrible in some places. I really apologise, and I think I'm going to change up the whole episode format. Anyway, this is the, I think it's just extension of it's the Weardale Extension Railway, yes. It's just an extension of the Stockton and Darlington, extending up to the concert to meet the stand-up in Tyne. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm panicking because it's been so long. This is the Great Western extending from Kemble into Cheltenham, finishing off the Cheltenham and Great Western extension or something like that. I think that's the name of it, but it was absorbed by the Great Western before it could finish. And I spent a lot of time building Cheltenham and Gloucester around here because there's two rail companies that are right next to each other and they run parallel to each other, which is a pain to make an OpenTTD. I think I've actually got nothing to say for a little bit. Anyway, I think I'm going to be changing up the episode format. I'm not sure what to just yet, but I don't think this is working because of the extremely long videos, and I really do not have the best computer. But I'll just figure it out between episodes. And I just want to apologise for being so long. I've had this episode recorded for months, but I just have not got around to recording a voiceover because I just don't have the time, because it takes an hour and a half or two. This is the sticking I was talking about. It comes on and off during the whole episode, and I spent about 12 hours rendering the video without any commentary, so I could record this. Yeah, no. The video is still running, it's just the cutting I was talking about. Yeah, I can't apologise enough. It's taking its time, isn't it? I guess you can just look at Cheltenham. There we go, finally moved on, and this is the Wilson Town, Morningside and Coltness Railway, which is just a Scotch gauge, I believe, mining railway. I don't think it carries passengers, but at least right now. But there's nothing I can do about it. It will eventually get absorbed into the North British railway system. Spoiler alert. There's lots and lots of branch lines around in central Scotland, which just went from nowhere to nowhere, but it's just because that area had so many little branch lines, and I think there was a little bit of a passenger service running on them, but whatever. I can't be 100% accurate. I did have to simplify down the history a lot for the sake of this series, because I couldn't include every single branch line, and every single suburban line, and every single station. And there was a lot of industry lines. Anyway, moved on yet again, and this is the Huddersfield and Sheffield Junction Railway. Although it didn't actually go into Sheffield, it used the Great Central. Yeah, Great Central to get into Sheffield, and it just branched off their main line at Penistone. Then we moved down to the Norwich and Yarmouth Railway and the Norwich and Brighton Railway, merging into the Norfolk Railway, even though it's just a short-lived one. And there's a lot of other absorptions, such as the Great Norfolk Railway being absorbed into the Newcastle and Darlington Junction Railway, talking fast because we immediately moved on to the North and York and North Midland Railway, building an extension from York to Scarborough, which is still open today. And at the same time, they also absorbed the Whitby and Pickering Railway and connected that branch line to theirs, and also introduced steam traction on that line. And that line is now what is the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Let's turn back to Stirling. There's a lot of train line management going on because I kind of just throw all the trains on because this game is terrible. It wasn't built for this many trains and this many realistic lines. I think the way you're supposed to play OpenTTD is just by separating every single line with every single piece of track. I really don't play this game how it's meant to be played. Anyway, now the Dundee and Perth Railway, opening between Dundee West Station and Perth General. It's called Perth General, but I think it was just the only station. This station is interesting. I'm just kind of spitting out random things here. Because on the... Oh, don't mind, we moved off. It wasn't important. I can't even tell what we are on right now. Is the Dundee and Perth still? Anyway, I'll just tell you about Perth. The approach in Perth, on the right-hand most platforms, they turn off to the right. So it was almost a junction and they just do a whole 180 degree turn and then... I'll shut up. I feel really bad for putting out an episode like this, but hopefully soon I'm going to be uploading a shorter video that's just kind of showing off the network, because at the end of this episode we will be on the 1st of January 1850, and since it's 20 years since the start of the series, and it's halfway through the 19th century. So what I'll be doing is I'll be doing a overview video, and we'll be travelling up and down the rail network. So even though this video is just terrible, hopefully you'll get an idea of everything that's happened in the next one. There we go, we've moved down. Now we are in Devon by the looks of it, and we're doing some more train management. And we've moved up to Ipswich for the Eastern Counties Railway. Sorry, two minutes. Yeah, this is the Eastern Counties Railway. Sorry, I think that all of half of 1845 has been missed out of the recording there. Anyway, January 1846, we have the Eastern Counties Railway. God, I am so sorry, everything's just a big mess. It's the Great Eastern Mainline, that's what it is, yeah. I'm looking for it. I have a big document that has a big list of everything that I've done, but I clearly haven't done it in order. And now in Brighton for the East Coast Railway, apparently. Going from Brighton to Lewis, I believe that's what it's called. There we go, I found it. We're in June 1846 apparently, not January. Although I think we are in January, I think I was just looking at the wrong place on the document. Oh well. Well, the Middlesbrough red card, now on the Brighton Chichester I've finally found. I am so sorry. Brighton Chichester Railway, Littlehampton and Chichester. We have a big one next. All cocked up. Anyway, this is the North British Railway, building that main line between Berwick-upon-Tweed and Edinburgh-Waverley, which also means we're going to be tackling the challenge of Edinburgh-Waverley. As I'm sure most people know, this line eventually became part of the northernmost section of the East Mainline. So now I'm tackling Edinburgh-Waverley. I believe I gave it 7 platforms, each 7 tiles in length, which is pretty much the maximum size you can make a station in default. But I also gave it some bay platforms. I kind of feel sorry for Edinburgh. I had to demolish half the city just to put the station in. But I do build some streets around the place in hopes of making it expand. In terms of city expansion, I don't want to set it up to the maximum speed just yet because, like I said, I don't really have that powerful of a computer. And obviously I don't want to run out of storage space in 1900. So I'm just going to leave it off for the meantime. Although I think it's on just a little bit quite slow. Now I've connected at Waverley, I also direct all the trains from on the Edinburgh and Glasgow and all the suburban railways into Waverley. I don't think this happened in reality just yet, but like I said, I'm just simplifying stuff down. It was hard enough to map out every single opening date. Another thing is that at the same time they opened a branch from Longnidry, I'm sorry if I can pronounce this wrong, to Haddington. Just a small in between station branch line. All the suburban trains from like Leith and Westbank into the things. Now we are on the Furness Railway, which right now is just a Einstone, I believe, railway. I don't think it carried any passengers just yet, but I have both Barrow and a place. Well, I believe I have Ulverston, opens in Dalton and Furness in reality, but I don't think there's any stations. I know it's just collieries and quarries. So what I do is I just send buses between Ulverston and Dalton. Now we have the Preston Blackburn Railway, which is just a short branch line from Preston to Blackburn. It's still, surprise, surprise, it's still open today, I believe, as part of the East Lancashire line. And now I believe we have jumped down to the Brighton, Lewes and Hastings Railway. So you can guess where that's going. We don't have the branches to Seaford or Eastbourne just yet. Now we have big cities. We have the Leeds and Bradford Railway, which is the northernmost line between Leeds Wellington and Bradford Forster Square, which is the current Airedale line, I believe it's called. But here I had to build a triangular station, Shipley, Today it's only one of the 2 triangular stations in the whole country, and they are a pain to build in OpenTTD. I spent ages going over these because the trains kept getting stuck, and also I just really do not have much space. You might just say, well, why did you include it in the first place? There's no town there. And to that I say, I wanted to. This is the design I eventually settled with. It's not nowhere near as to what it is in reality, but I think it's the closest I'm going to get. Here I am. What I did was I actually have a 1910 Bradshaw's, so I have actually spent ages writing out and simplifying each of the services across the whole 1000-page book, so I can map out which services stopped where. I simplified it down a lot, but I got the general gist. So what I'm doing now is I'm moving all the long-distance services. And the reason I'm doing this is because now the London and North Western Railway has come into existence. So we now have, for the first time, have long distance expresses between London, Liverpool and Manchester. I love the OpenTTD music. In case you're new to the series, I am doing accurate depots as well. All the train depots I am putting in places where it's the most accurate, where they are in reality, and I'm also naming them as according to the 1948 shed codes, I believe. Moving on, we have the Ashton, Staley Bridge and Liverpool Junction Railway. It's only between Manchester and Staley Bridge, but it's called that because it goes through Ashton Underline to Staley Bridge, and the Liverpool comes from the fact that it connects to the Liverpool and Manchester. You get names like that a lot in railway history. Going back down south, we have the Richmond and West End Railway, which is just a small branch line built by the Midland South Western, which becomes part of the suburban network later. But I believe this is the first suburban line. Now we have the creation of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway, which is a merger between the London Croydon Railway, the London and Brighton Railway, the Brighton and Chichester Railway, and the Brighton, Lewes and Hastings Railway. Also at the same time we have the Huddersfield and Sheffield Junction Railway absorbed by the Manchester and Leeds Railway. And I think at the same time I have the Kilmarnock and Troon Railway absorbed by the Glasgow, Paisley, Kilmarnock and Railway. Not sure if I do this right now, I probably am behind this staking. More absorptions apparently. We have the Untitled and Glasgow Railway, which is just a small mineral railway, being absorbed by the Scottish Midland Junction Railway, as that line actually formed part of their West Coast Mainline, very, very far north. We have a line being constructed here, and I believe I can't even see where we are. Oh yeah, I believe this is the this is the Midland Railway extending from Nottingham to Lincoln. Speaking of the Midland Railway, I think we missed behind the merger behind the stick. Sorry, is the Midland Railway absorbing the Bristol and Gloucester Railway and the Birmingham Gloucester Railway. Yet another stick apparently. Behind it we have way more absorptions and takeovers going on, like Lots of various branch lines being absorbed by the York and Newcastle Railway, and the Preston and Blackburn Railway being absorbed by the Manchester, Bury and Rossendale Railway, which later is going to become the East Lancashire. Here we go. Anyone in Hartlepool, that was one of the mergers. I believe now, behind the stick, I am building the Euston and Peterborough Railway, which is a Midland Railway branch line between Leicester and Peterborough. Because Peterborough didn't actually get its own mainline station until 1850, which is when the Great Northern opened. Here I am building the Manchester, Bury and Rossendale Railway, which I mentioned earlier, which today is the East Lancashire Railway, because the Manchester, Bury and Rossendale later renamed it the East Lancashire, and that's what the Heritage Railway is named after. But eventually they're going to build up to connect to the Blackburn and Preston. Now we have another big one. We have the Lancaster and Carlisle Railway, although for now it's just opening between Lancaster Castle, which is the under northwestern station, which is still open today, and Oxenholme, which is the junction for the Windermere branch. My cat's here. Even if I wanted to stop her from coming in during recordings, I really could not. At the same time, although I don't think I've built it yet, is the Lancaster and Carlisle Railway. Sorry, the Kendal and Windermere Railway. Also building their branch. Apparently I'm just building all of the Lancaster and Carlisle now. I think I got excited and built the whole thing. I'm not a professional, can you tell? Well, anyway, with this I'm pretty sure we have like a complete West Coast mainline, but it's just under different companies, so I don't have any food services. Although I did mention having reproducing all the services accurately. I'll only do a food service if the company doesn't get absorbed later. For example, I'm pretty sure that London North Western did operate food services to Carlisle now, just paying all the different companies. Is that the word? No, that's copyright. Anyway. But I won't be doing that. I'll just put the food services in once they are absorbed. Moving on, we have the York and North Midland Railway extending from Hull Paragon to Bridlington. Of course, I think I missed it, but the Hull and Selby Railway has been absorbed by the York and North Midland. The York and North Midland will come to pretty much dominate East Yorkshire before they become part of the North Eastern Railway themselves. Moving on now, we have I believe this is the Leeds and Bradford Extension Railway. Yeah, the Leeds and Bradford Extension. Eventually they're going to go all the way up to Skipton and then down to Colne. Whereas the Leeds and Liverpool and Leeds Canal. We've missed a lot during that huge stick. We've missed like the Norwich Railway extending to Wimbledon, the South Eastern Railway extending to Canterbury, from Canterbury to Margate, the Eastern Union Railway extending to Bury, the Bedford St John's branch, Shrewsbury and Chester. We've missed a lot, I am so sorry for the sticking. I'll show you all in the recap video next time. Now we are doing the Croydon and Epsom Railway. Self-explanatory, it's just a small suburban line. I am hungry. I'll go get some food after this. I'm sorry if you hear my stomach rumbling. Now I'm just doing the North Woolwich branch and going all the way up to, well, it sticks, I didn't find out. Yeah, this is the Newcastle and Barrack Railway, extending from Tweedmouth, which is just below the border bridge, to Chattel. They also built from Newcastle to Morpeth in the south, but there's still a gap. Well, not anymore because I just linked it. Yeah, there it is. I see it. It's the next month when they bridged it. Also with that, I believe that's the first London to Scotland connection now by the Midland Railway. Back down in the south, you have the South Eastern Railway extending from the Margate branch to Deal, near Sandwich, so you can have a sandwich deal. Now you have the creation of the East Anglian Railway, which is a merger between the Lynn and Durham Railway and the Lynn and Ely Railway. I'm doing some more train sorting now because as more lines get connected up, other services become much more complicated, and I think my stations are already congested, and I think I'm already running some freight services too. I was plagued with loads of problems of trains kept getting lost because the junctions are so complicated. Trains in this game are terrible at following orders, but I guess it's just the age of it. We've gone in the background, behind the stick, is the Manchester and Leeds Railway, the Wakefield, Pontefract and Goole Railway, and the Ashton, Staley Bridge and Liverpool Junction Railway, merging into the familiar Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. And now it's all the way down in August, which is the opening of the Southampton and Dorchester Railway. Although the line didn't go through Bournemouth originally. That was a later extension because Bournemouth at this time was just a tiny little village. It had no significance whatsoever. So instead they went north via Ringwood. Also going on this month is the Newcastle and Barrack Railway and the York and Newcastle Railway merging into the York, Newcastle and Barrack Railway. Whoa, original title. Yeah, the York, Newcastle and Barrack is also one of the major constituents of the North Eastern Railway. Back in the eastern counties for the extension from Cambridge to Huntingdon, which is the branch line via St Ives. Not St Ives in Cornwall, that would be a very strange branch line. Also, we have the Weir Valley Railway opening between Bishop Auckland and Stanhope, which is actually a heritage railway today. Although Bishop Auckland is a triangular station, but it's not anymore. Yet another hell of a station to build. Moving back down to Nottingham, we have the Midland Railway extending from Trent Junction to Pinxton North, where I believe it's going to meet the Pinxton and Mansfield Railway. So they essentially now have a branch from Nottingham to Mansfield. But not the Robin Hood line. That's a different branch line between those two places by the Midland Railway. Yeah, it's confusing. Also the Leeds and Bradford Extension Railway, extending from Keighley to Skipton, like I mentioned earlier. God, I'm struggling to keep up. This time lapse is going far too fast. This is the peak of railway mania and so many things are going on. I'm struggling to keep up with that commentary. See, we're already up in Scotland building the Edinburgh and Northern Railway between Burnt Island and Compar. Another thing about this railway is it actually utilised the first ever train ferry in the world to cross the Forth before the bridge was built. The cat's back. And she's gone again. He actually put in a ferry here, I believe. Back again. Hello. She's strange. She's an old lady. Back to trains. Another thing going on probably behind the sticking is the Trent Valley Railway, now the Trent Valley Line. Between Rugby and Stafford, which is just a bypass built by the London North Western, so all the trains didn't have to reverse at Birmingham Curzon Street, because back then Birmingham was actually a terminus station and any trains that gone to the north had to reverse. But I didn't actually include Curzon Street because it closed before the 19th century. Any temporary stations like Birmingham Curzon Street or Liverpool Manchester Road, no, it's Manchester Liverpool Road, I haven't included just so I don't have to spend loads of time going over them, demolishing, rebuilding loads of stuff. I've included stations that will later close if they appear in my 1910 Bradshaw, because otherwise then I wouldn't know which services ran into it and which ones didn't. Though I don't think the Trent Valley line was originally 4 tracks, I've included it as 4 tracks anyway. Ignore that cut. Once again, just so I don't have to go over it and rebuild everything. Here we have the York and North Midland Railway extending from York to Market Weighton. Once again, just expanding their influence in East Yorkshire. I've also built the Foss Islands branch line, even though that hasn't opened in reality yet. It's because I'm shipping fish from Whitby down here. Also going on, I assume, behind the sticking is the York and North Midland Railway extending from Seamer. Yeah, the York, got that right. From Seamer to Bridlington. So that completes the Hull to Scarborough line. I'll keep talking, but in case, so I don't get myself caught up. Yeah, we're in Crewe now. Not sure why. I believe I'm just doing some more train sorting, yeah. Because the trains kept getting really lost. I believe one of the Great Central trains somehow managed to find its way all the way down to Crewe. Even though I just set it on a tiny little line between Staley Bridge and London, Manchester London Road. I'm mumbling a bit, I am really sorry. Once again, another stick, so I believe this is the The only thing that's going on in November 1847 is the Newtile and Cooper Angus Railway being absorbed by the Scottish Midland Junction, same as the Glamis one. It's just so they can rebuild it as their main line. I assume the stick's going to go on to December. In that case, the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway is extending from Lewis to Newhaven Town, and the Berks and Hants Railway is opening between Reading and Hungerford, which today is the Bristol bypass. Well, I guess the sticking lets you all have a good look at Manchester and the mess of the junction. That's London Road and Victoria and Staley Bridge. I'm not looking forward to squeezing in all the suburban lines, like, that'll be hell. There'll be so much railway that there's just not going to be any room for houses to be built. Where are we now? I believe we are in... Nope, no idea. Newbury, yes, so we're still doing the Berks and Hants. It was a little bit late, although I did have all the lines written out in the bulletin year that they opened. I haven't done them completely in order because, for example, if one thing happened up in Scotland, then the next thing happened back down in Cornwall, then the next thing after that back up in Scotland, I'll just kind of skip it. Not skip it, but like come back to the one down south later. Sticking again, so I'm going to assume this is the behind the stick. The Midland Railway is extending from Welford Road to Desford, just another branch line. And the Newmarket Railway is this it? I believe so. This is the Newmarket Railway opening between Cambridge and Newmarket. Yeah, we're in March. This is the Eastern Counties Railway extending from March to St Ives, which later will become part of the branch line. Sorry, not the branch line, the Great Northern Great Eastern Joint Line. Next we have a huge project, which is the Caledonian Railway, otherwise known as the West Coast Mainline. Oh, we're still in Louth. Actually, why are we still in Louth? I can't even remember where Louth is. Anyway, when I do the we're in Grimsby. Okay, well I probably skipped the Caledonian, it's March now. I'm sorry you didn't get to see that. It's March. This is the East Lincolnshire Railway between Grimsby and Louth. So that's where Louth is, yep, it's East Lincolnshire. But this is by the Great Northern Railway, the first appearance of the Great Northern. Apparently we missed a lot of stuff there, like the Aberdeen Railway between Goothby Junction and Brechin, is that how it's pronounced? Obviously the Caledonian that I mentioned. And the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway opening extending from Three Bridges to Horsham, and then a little bit of extension of the East Anglian Railways and the Furness Railways. Also going on right now, we have the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway extending from Grimsby to New Holland, which is the Baden and Humber branch today. Now we're up in Northallerton for the York, Newcastle and Berwick Railway, beginning their Wensleydale branch from Northallerton to Bedale. Also panicked here because I realised that Northallerton and Bedale are far too further apart than they should be, because I believe the branch actually just goes due west from Northallerton to Bedale, but I've clearly messed that up. It's hard to plan out where towns are when it's just nearly completely flat and you have no land features to guide yourself on. Yet another stick. So we have I assume we have the Wakefield, Pontefract and Goole Railway finally opening, although it's not even independent anymore, it's part of the Lancashire and Yorkshire, between Wakefield, Kirkgate and Goole, which is now a line that only gets one passenger train a week, I believe. and also the Caledonian Railway extending from Carstairs to Edinburgh Princes Street. Still ongoing, we have the North Staffordshire Railway opening between Norton Bridge, which is near Stafford, and Stoke. And the Chester and Holyhead Railway opening between Chester General and Bangor, which is just between the I can't remember the name, but it's next to the Anglesey, that's the word. I'll keep talking, I'd rather get ahead than behind. The Scottish Central Railway opening between Perth and Stirling. Oh, we're in Webfield, I didn't miss much. This is the Wakefield Pontefract Goole. I'm going to apologise again because this episode really is a huge mess and I have no idea what happened to it to get this messy. But, yeah. I've got no excuse. Once again, I'm going to keep talking. Like the South Devon Railway. Where are we now? We're in Dunstable. See, I've missed so much. This is the London North Western extending from Leyden Buzzard to Dunstable, just a small branch. And then I noticed that one of my companies was making no money at all, so I had to go give it some more money. Also, another thing that I've missed about during the stick apparently was the Norfolk Railway being absorbed by the Eastern Counties Railway, the South Devon Railway extending from Totnes to Plymouth, and the Edinburgh Northern extending from Cupar to Tayport, where another ferry took people into Dundee. I believe this is me just fixing some services more. Now we're in Bletchley. For no reason, just sorting services. I thought there was something there, but nope. I promise next episode will be more professional and actually, well made. Anyway, behind the stick, again, we have the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway extending from Nottingley to Doncaster. The Morecambe Harbour and Railway opening between Lancaster and Morecambe. We're in Doncaster, yep, so that's the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway one that I just told you about. Sticking during the creation of Doncaster, a nice big station, but oh well. There we go, finally. And now we have the Blackburn, Darwin and Bolton Railway opening between Bolton and Blackburn. Another line that's still open today. This is just the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway response to the East Lancashire Railway building their line from Bolton to Blackburn. Speaking of the East Lancashire, they extend from Blackburn to Accrington. Which is the branch next to near Blackburn on the Blackburn to Burnley line. Going back up north, the Edinburgh and Glasgow Railway extending from Lenny to Lennoxtown. And another stick, so apparently I believe is the York and North Midland Railway extending from Church Fenton to Harrogate. The first connection of Harrogate to the main to the network. There we go. And so I don't get behind, I'm just going to read out what's going to be happening next. So we have the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. I feel like I'm just reading out. I'm sorry for the bland content because there's nothing going on the screen. Anyway, the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway is going to extend from Halifax to Bradford. So now we'll finally have 2 stations in Bradford, the 2 Bradford stations we know today. I've got nothing to say to it before that. I believe what's happening right now is the, well, not that you can see it, is the... no, that's not it. Yes, there it is, sorry. The, Liverpool, Crosby and Southport Railway. Just between Liverpool and Southport, one of the Merseyrail lines today. On the stick, I believe we missed the Edinburgh and Northern Railway extending from Ladybank to Perth, which is one of the lines that's still open today. Here we go, now we have the Chester and Hawley Railway extending from Llanfair, I'm not going to read the full name no matter how much you want me to Holyhead, which also means that we can introduce our first ever express service. The Irish Mail between London Euston and Holyhead, only calling at Crewe and Bangor. I don't think it called at Bangor in reality, but I've put it in because, at least right now, the Britannia Bridge, I think that's what it's called, wasn't completed. So the train actually had to stop at Bangor. All the mail was loaded off, transported across the strait by road, and reloaded back onto the other side at Llanfair. Now we have the Caledonian Railway extending to Greenhill from Coatbridge. Although Greenhill is just a tiny little insignificant hamlet, well, it's not insignificant, it's small, but it is significant because this is actually the meeting place between the Caledonian Railway and the further north railway companies that eventually became part of the Caledonian, like the Scottish Central, the Scottish Midland Junction and the Aberdeen Railway. And so this became part of the line of the West Coast Mainline, the trains going north that wanted to bypass Glasgow. I believe you also missed the York and North Midland Railway extending from Selby to Mount Wayton, that's just a small branch line now. I believe we are also missing the North Staffordshire Railway extending from Stoke to Doncaster. Although first I believe I'm going to be extending the Scottish Central Railway from Stirling to Greenhill to meet the Caledonian, as well as the Alloa branch. What's going on up in Scotland is the Monkland and Kirkintilloch Railway, the Lockney Railway and the Slanaman railways merging into the Monkland Railways, which is just a network of mining no passengers carried there just yet. Now we have the Scottish Midland Junction Railway opening between Perth General and Forfar, using the Untitled and Glasgow and Cooper Angus railways to convert them to main lines. Also going on, but I think I might have missed it, is the Glasgow, Paisley, Kilmarnock and Ayr Railway extending from Kilmarnock to Muirkirk. Scotland's railways really are starting to form together now. The whole country's main lines are starting to form and take shape. Although I wish you guys could see it behind all the terrible video. If anyone has any suggestions of video formats that I should do instead of the current one, like a way to do them, then please just let me know. I'm open to any and all constructive criticism. Next we're going to be going for the Glasgow, Dumfries and Carlisle Railway opening between Gretna Junction and Dumfries. There we are. Next we're going all the way down south for the Windsor, Staines and South Western Railway. No, but another one first. We're doing the London and South Western Railway extending from Fareham to Cushing, which completes our West Coast way. Which means now London, Brighton and South Coast Railway and London and South Western Railway trains can access Portsmouth. Also, I believe I missed it, but there was also the Windsor, Staines and South Western Railway opening between Richmond and Windsor. Gone back into Lincolnshire for the East Lincolnshire Railway under the Great Northern extending from Louth to Thursby, which is actually where the branch line to Skegness went off. Also this time the high level bridge in Newcastle was built, meaning trains can run direct over the Tyne. I put it in before this because once again I didn't want to spend loads of time rebuilding everything. Now we move down for the North Staffordshire Railway extending from Atoxa to Burton. Now I've gone down for the Wilts, Somerset and Weymouth Railway, opening between Chippenham and Westbury. Obviously they had the extensions of extending down to Weymouth, and although this line did eventually get built, it was actually under the Great Western. Sorry. They ran out of money and had to be absorbed by the Great Western Railway, which then completed their line for them. Norfolk, we have the East Anglian Railway extending from Narborough to Durham. where I met the Eastern Counties Railway, part of the line which is now the Midland Rover. Now we have a Glasgow suburban line, the Glasgow Barhead and Euston Direct Railway. Suburban railways in this game are pretty old, just because there's no space, like I said. Moving back down to the north of England, we have the Leeds and Thirsk Railway extending from Brighton to Wheaton, which is eventually going to become a main line between Leeds and Northallerton. For now, Wheaton, I believe, is the junction for a line to Ilkley. Also decided to rebuild Harrogate's railways because they are pretty awkward. Because some of the lines just directly bypassed Harrogate and some of them ran straight in, but the ones you think would go straight in actually bypass it and vice versa. Spawning some more money for all the companies because none of the train services are profitable. Because, like I said, this game is not meant to be dealing with realism. Now we have Leeds Central being built, which is by the Leeds, Dewsbury and Manchester Railway, which is open between Leeds and Huddersfield, and eventually will make their way down to Manchester, which is now the London North Western Railways line into Leeds, which is now the Huddersfield line and the primary Manchester to Leeds Railway today. Next up we have the East Lancashire Railway extending. No, the Coastal one. I'll tell you now. Here it is. The East Lancashire Railway extending from Junction to Burnley, finishing off that East Lancashire line that is now in York. Now we're in Malvern, which is for the Mattam, Wilden and Braintree Railway, which is just a branch out between Braintree and Malvern. And it was owned by the Eastern Counties Railway. also building a connection between Stirling. No, we're going from Boston all the way into Peterborough on the plant. Because now at the same time we have the Great Northern Railway officially opening between Peterborough and London. Don't build that London line by 1850. This will be next episode. Now we have the North Staffordshire Railway extending from Stoke to Macclesfield, where I'll meet the line into Manchester, as well as a branch from Cridsgrove to Crewe. And the Southampton and Dorchester Railways absorbed by the London and South Western, which means now we finally have London to Dorchester direct trains. And also we have the Shrewsbury and Chester Railway. Self-explanatory, but it's not opening all the rail yet. They don't have the money, so now they're just opening between Shrewsbury and Rugby, if that's pronounced right. Also, I realised I built it all in the wrong company. I built it all in the Giant Railway when it's actually just owned by the Great Western. It's not owned by the Great Western yet, but it will be. I couldn't simulate every single merger and stuff because OpenTTD also only has to have 15 companies at any one time. So I just included like the big four and then any giant railways and stuff. Here we have the Aberdeen Railway extending from Hillside to Stonehaven. Hillside's next to Montrose, because Montrose is actually on a branch line here. Moving on, we now have the Midland Rover extending from Swannington to Burton-on-Trent, which completes the Leicester to Burton line, which has a lot of which is just a freight-only line today, but it has a lot of proposals to become passenger-only, to serve Colville and Swannington and that. Now we have the Leeds and Bradford Extension Railway completing their line from Skipton to Colne, where it meets the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. Or will, at least. Now we have the Great Western Railway's Basingstoke branch. The Liverpool and Bury Railway. Just self-explanatory, but it's actually being absorbed by the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway on opening. We also now finally have the Manchester, Ashton and Sheffield Railway opening, which is now also known as the Woodhead Line, I believe. Could be wrong there. I think I saw it. Yes, that's right. So now we actually have FOO trains between Manchester and Cleethorpes, although I'm sure most of them get lost again. Retford is also a pain to build because it's such a complicated junction. Moving on down to the south, we have the South Devon Railway completing their line, completing the gap in the middle between Newton Abbot and Totnes. So now we have FOO exit to Plymouth trains. So now it's possible to get the train from Plymouth to London, although you just have to change a few times. I think I put Guilford in the wrong place as well, but it's too late now. More trains getting themselves lost. It's going to be an absolute pain when that network's complete and this train's getting lost left, right and centre. We also have our second express passenger train, the Flying Dutchman, between London Paddington and Exeter. We also have the London and Blackwall Railway, opening between Fenchurch Street, Poplar, and a branch to Stratford. That's back for the third time. Which is strange, isn't it? Now we have the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway extending from Thornhill to Lowmer, which just creates a triangle between Bradford, Lowmer and Halifax. Going back down to Manchester, we have the London North Western building their line from Stockport to Staley. There was a lot more lines going through Ashton, like I'm pretty sure the London North Western had their own line running through, but once again I really just could not find the space. We also have the line from Oldham to Greenfield, or Delft, which is where the so-called Delft donkey was from. The legend goes that it was that the small branch line only had a donkey pulling one carriage running up and down it. It's most likely that it wasn't true because of the steep hills, but it's still fun to think. Become part of the Canberra Railways. The Sanctuary Railway extending from the centre, including a small bunch of stores today. Next up we have the Eastern Counties Railway extending, putting their branch line to Enfield, built as an upper down to Edinburgh and doing some rebuilding of Junction. See, like I said, it was months ago when I did all this, so I have as much idea as what's going on as you. The only thing I'm going off is a document which showed the order I planned on doing it in. Now I believe I'm just fighting a train to kill some time before March, which is when the Enfield branch was built. South Staffordshire Railway opening between Barton under Needwood, which is a branch off the Midland Railway, to Dudley. Walsall. I think I might have already done it, but next we have the Great Northern Railway extending from Lincoln to Gainsborough. But like I said, I think I might have already done it, so I'm probably just going to skip over that. I've not done. I'm going to be doing that now, apparently. It's just a small little line, and I couldn't really think of any services to put on it right now. So now while we're up in Lincolnshire, we're going to be doing the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway, extending from Gainsborough into Barnaby, completing an alternate line into Cleethorpes, before moving down to the Liverpool, Ormskirk and Preston Railway, being absorbed by the East Lancashire Railway, and the Edinburgh North Railway renamed to the Edinburgh, Perth and Dundee Railway, and the North Staffordshire Railway extending from Stone to Coleridge. Now we have the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway extending from Polegate to Eastbourne. Eastbourne branch we all know and love today. Going up into the Peak District for the Manchester, Buxton, Matlock and Midland Junction Railway, opening between Ambergate, another triangular station, and Rowsley, which today the line's still open as far as Matlock today, and Peak Rail and Heritage Railway extends it on to Rowsley. Now we have the Shropshire Union Railways opening between Stafford and Wellington, which is the London North Western Railways branch, and from Wellington into Shrewsbury, which is a jointly owned between the London North Western and the Great Western. And the Great Western will later extend from Wellington to Wolverhampton. Clydesdale Junction Railway opening between Motherwell and Glasgow. Just another Glasgow suburban railway. No, it's not another Glasgow suburban railway. What the hell am I talking about? This is actually part of the West Coast Mainline, because at the time the Caledonian actually ran up into Coatbridge before turning in to go and approach Glasgow from the north into Buchanan Street. Buchanan. But the Clydesdale Junction opened between Motherwell and just south of the Clyde, whereas I've just put it in as between Motherwell and Glasgow Central. Although in reality Glasgow Central didn't actually open until 1900. Slideshow, isn't it? Feel free to laugh at this poor video quality in the comments. It's my own fault. Here I am just double tracking this line quickly because it was getting congested. Railway extending from Wheaton into Leeds itself, which also meant demolishing a lot of Leeds and rebuilding it all to fit the extra 2 tracks in. Also meant squeezing in a lot of Junction. Very awkward trying to mess around with lots and lots of different companies and having to swap between them to edit one tiny little tile. Also, my volume will be fluctuating a lot because I'm having to manually hold this microphone. For some reason it's only being picked up very, very quietly. Now we have the Colchester, Stour Valley, Sudbury and Halstead Railway, opening between Markstay and Sudbury. Just another one of the Suffolk branch Also, yeah, I had to move Sudbury because Sudbury was in the wrong place. Well, we're in East Anglia. We have the Eastern Caledonian Railway extending from Hawley Junction, which is near Bury, to Diss, further down nearly completing their line to Norwich. Now we have the Reading, Guilford and Reigate Railway, opening between Redhill and Reading, which now sees Great Western Railway services, which some of them go as far as Gatwick Airport. My cat's thinking about jumping up. Coming up? Nope, okay then, bye. Now we're in Kelso for the Newcastle and Berwick Railway, exit building their branch from Plymouth to Kelso. Excuse me for one, don't need to cough. I don't have COVID, I've asked them. South Junction and Alt Junction. Railway opening between Manchester, Midland Road and Stirling. This is actually a joint railway between the London North Western and the Great Central. Well, it's not called Northern Manchester, Great Central, yet it's called Manchester to Sheffield and Lancashire. A lot of words. London and North Western Railway, not just the North Western Railway, which doesn't even become part of the London North Western, just the North Western, opening between Skipton and Ingleton. I told you this is confusing. Here we are, now we're doing the Alt Junction. Now we're doing the North Western. To avoid confusion, this actually was called the Little North Western Railway because it's just a tiny little branch line, to be honest. It became part of the Midland Railway Mainline, yep, to make things even more confusing, between Leeds and Morecambe, which is still open today. And it's also the basis of the Settle and Carlisle line, which we'll be coming to within the next few episodes. Sorry if my volume's fluctuating a lot, like I said. I've got a new microphone which is connected into like a preamp and everything, so I can change the gain on the go, and it's confusing. Still definitely getting used to it. Now we're in Duns for the North Western British Railway, building a branch line from Reston. same time they built their North Berwick branch, which is what we're doing right now. Good timing. First good timing in the episode, wow. Now moving all the way down to the Midlands for the Mould Railway. No, not the nasty stuff. Mould is in the town, although I don't know how nasty it is to live there. Ask someone who lives there. I don't know anyone who lives there. Just a small branch line from Chester into Mould, owned by the London North West, I believe. Now moving over to the east, we have the Great Northern Railway, beginning the East Coast Mainline between Redford and Doncaster, so not much right now. While I was out, I just had to finish off the junctions in Doncaster. South Yorkshire for the... I was just connecting it for the sake of it. We just very quickly saw the Aberdeen sideline, which is bypass for express trains. And now we have another branch line from Sheffield to Amble to replace the bus service. Junction Railway extending from Newton to Hamilton, which I think is part of the Hamilton Circle, into Motherwell. But also, that meant that Caledonia Railway absorbed it. So now I'm running all the express trains into Central rather than Buchanan Street. Although this didn't happen in reality just yet. Now we have the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway extending from Nottingham to Castleford. Although, once again I think I messed up because in reality, as you'll see, the line from Nottingham actually goes into the other side of Castleford, which means I just kind of had to awkwardly squeeze it between them, like that. Opening of the Mansfield and Pinxton Railway, which is actually one of the earliest lines, like opened way before any of the other ones, but back then it was just a tramway, so it didn't include it. And now it's just been converted to a proper railway under the Midland. East and West Yorkshire Junction Railway, opening between York and Glasgow, which is the Harrogate Loop, which is open today. Now we have the Great Western Railway building their Windsor branch, which actually could have been much more direct, but Eton College didn't want steam trains running right next to them, so they just didn't have to spend a bit more. Then we have the London and South Western Railway extending from Guilford to Farnham, otherwise known as the Portsmouth Direct Line, I think. Farnham's, the Alton line, the watercress line. I'm thinking of Fareham. Then we have the Edinburgh and Glasgow Railway. It's built by the North British, otherwise known as the Waverley line. We only have 3 minutes left of the episode and only a few things to polish off. So I just want to thank you all for sticking with me through this hell of an episode, and I promise it'll be better next time. And I'm sorry for it being so long, and I'm sorry for everything else. I'm definitely going to try my hardest to get back into the swing of things, recording more videos, finding a better format. I think that's all I have to say. I can't apologise enough. Thank you all for the positive comments and feedback on the previous videos. Now we're seeing the Lancashire and Yorkshire extending from Todmorden to Burnley, and the Northwestern, the Little Northwestern, extending from Lancaster to Wellington. Doesn't want to connect up to the main line yet, I don't think. No, it doesn't. This tiny little gap. And the Edinburgh and Bathgate Railway opening between Bathgate and Junction up to the Edinburgh and Glasgow main line via Euston. And then give it a moment. There we go, moving into the very last month of this episode. I think. No, apparently I've missed something. Yes I have. The Shrewsbury and Birmingham Railway opening between Wellington and Wolverhampton. That's the Great Western branch line I was talking about earlier. Although it later becomes the main line. Now we're moving into the very final month of our episode, which involves the... I've got to find out how to talk quickly. Eastern Union Railway extending from Diston to Norwich, completing the two London to Norwich main lines. And then in a moment we're going to be going up to the Aberdeen Railway. Come on, past me. No, we're still in the east. Alright then. We just have a couple of tiny little branch lines to build, like finishing off that the Horbury to Barnsley under the Lancashire and Yorkshire, and then finally the very last thing is completing the Aberdeen Railway up in the furthest north as the network goes right now. And with the completion of that, we finally have a London to Aberdeen line, two of them actually, and you will get to see both in the episode, the 1850 recap. So anyway, I believe that is the episode finishing off. So once again, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you all next time.